This is probably the most anticipated anime action figure ever, S.H.Figuarts Toji Fushiguro. However, there has been many concerns online regarding the design choices and the quality of this figure. Today, I will try to answer them all. What's up guys, it's WeBuu here. First of all, the copy that I have here is neither a prototype or an early sample. It is from the same batch as the general retail, which will come out on January 24th in Japan. And this Toji is retailed for 9,900 yen. We will go through the figure together and I will explain what I've learned about this figure after playing with it night after night. And obviously addressing the main concern, no Diddy. We will compare the figure in 3 different lighting setups and see how they all look like. I've also gathered the questions from y'all that follow me on IG, which I will feature at the end of the video and try to answer them all. First, accessories. Okay, let's crack it open. The main body, 4 faceplates, the smirk, the teeth, the anime final boss, and the creepy. Plus the faceplate of Gojo being high. We also got 5 pairs of hands, the fist, the holding, the relaxed, the extended, and the stretching. And the weapons including Shakukonto, the split sword katana, Amano Sakohoko, the inverted spear of heaven, Kaku no gata jure, inventory curse, articulations, and posing. This Toji is a little bit different than some of the other SH.Figuarts because it comes with the worm. So we will actually test out the articulations with and without the worm on Toji. So let's start with the inventory curse, aka the purple worm. The head of the worm has a bit of articulation, and if you stretch it up, it actually has 6 ball joints in total. The distance between each ball joint decreases while it reaches more to the tail. So the tail is really flexible for the purpose of actually wrapping around Toji's waist. And let me tell you, it works perfectly. So the tentacles here are actually a removable part, which you can change it into this, a neck peg, which kind of lock the worm onto Toji's neck. But to be honest, the worm wraps around really well. You don't really have to have this one. You can actually pose more without the neck peg, but it is a good touch, which I'll explain later. And the only thing I don't like, and this is actually one of the first things that I noticed after I got this figure, the seam line on this worm is actually pretty obvious. Not because it's terribly done, it's just because the location of it, it's literally right here. So if you wanna, it really stands out especially when the lighting is coming from this way. The reason why I say that is because I feel like the seam line can be moved to the inside or even the back of the worm. Yeah, I don't know why this choice was made, but that's one of the first things that kind of annoyed me. Let's start with the head. Crazy flexible, but the downside being the gap of the neck is a little bit larger. It actually took me a while to figure out why this design choice was made. Now let's put on the worm. And with the worm, obviously forward is not affected, and side, because of the worm is right around the head, it's a little bit limited, but backwards is the most limited. And if we test the limit here, the articulation stops right at the gap is about to expose. So definitely not a coincidence. I think going into the design process, maybe the designer, the sculptor, decided to prioritize the form of Toji with the worm rather than without the worm. Shoulders. Honestly, this can be a new standard for 1/12 scale figures. I thought we had it really well with Romance Dawn Zoro, but this one is even better because not only it almost reaches to whatever angle that you want it to reach, also the gap is very limited. The connecting piece, unlike Zoro, is more like a loose piece that you have to move it around to kind of close up the gaps a little bit more. This one is all connected. Very pleasant to pose, to play with, And with the worm, obviously it will be limited, but not by a lot. Lifting up, left shoulder is more limited than the right, but the worm itself actually has a little bit of mobility. It can help create a little bit of space. Backwards, not affected because there's nothing back there. Forward or crossing arms, right side is a little bit more limited than the left because of the main body of the worm wraps from the right side. Ab crunch. Forward is average or slightly above average. Sideways are decent as well, but backwards is straight up top notch. So on this one, the part that contributes to the ab crunch a little bit more is the waist part. I can take this apart and show you is this little piece right here. The way that it's shaped, the curve right here, maximize the articulations while really filling up the gap that it creates. I don't know if you can see, but on this piece there's a letter F written on one side, and that means that side is facing forward. And with the worm, not affected at all due to the pretty decent articulations of the tail of the worm. It can be adjusted around the body and stay wrapped. Lower body. Can't really do a full split, but for a lower body this baggy is actually not bad. First off, it seems like a single jointed knee, but actually I'd like to call it a hidden double joint. So the baggy pants definitely are similar to the Demon Slayer line, but the design is completely different. First of all, I'm pretty sure you guys will feel the same, that this is pretty annoying, the joint exposure here. But the good thing is the factories in China did a good job. The nut mark is either not there or not visible. So even though it's exposed, it's pretty smooth overall. And if you turn it back, it's kind of different from most of the Demon Slayer line, which seems like you can bend to here. But there's a hidden part here that literally if you push in more, it goes a little bit more. So this is the max that it can bend. And when it comes back, when you bend it back, this part will actually fill up the gap. Love that design. So same concept as the ab crunch bending back. This definitely is the new trend for 1/12 scale action figures, that you create those hidden patterns that don't show until you pose it, and that kind of mimics the stretching of fabric but applied on plastic. And for the ankles, as usual, I think Tamashii has been doing a great job, and this one is even better. Kind of added this little wiggle room for the calf part, which makes the extreme poses look even more natural. Poses. Let's give it a couple examples to see if this figure can actually reach the poses from the manga or the anime. First one. This is one of the poses that I really wanted to do, but the articulation of the worm kind of stopped me from making this as accurate. From certain angles it might work, but the blade is not exactly on the right position. To be honest, Toji's face kind of looked different from the side. Second, one of the poses that are just standard, easy to do. I even use this pose as the opening for my unboxing video. Honestly, this is one of those poses that are simple, but you just don't get tired of it. Another iconic pose. The challenging part is actually to match the hip angle while the back foot being on its heel. I didn't use any stand for none of my poses, and to be honest, it's a little bit hard to reach that. So the hip angle definitely is not as accurate, but as you can see here, the figure is very balanced, joints are tight to support the body, easy to pose. And this is one of my favorite poses and angles from the anime. But instead of using a stand, I chose to wire the figure and take a picture there. I couldn't quite reach the exact pose of how he's holding the sword, so I just changed up the angle of the sword and kind of snapped this photo right here. the most iconic pose of Toji. And there's no issue with the pulling back pose, easy to balance as well. And in this pose specifically, you can see the extra articulation on the calf, how it creates a little bit more wiggle room, but it just made the pose so much more natural. But pairing with Gojo could be a little more challenging to get the angles. Now let's check out some of the questions that y'all submitted on IG, and I'm gonna answer them all. Can the worm wrap Toji without the thing? I'm kind of scared the plug out neck part. It absolutely can. Actually, at the beginning I used to peg all the time, but later on I just stopped using it completely. It actually allows you to do more dynamic poses of the worm, and it stays really well. Regarding the neck peg, don't worry about it. It's really sturdy and it won't scratch the figure at all. Is his head range limited? Not including the neck peg that connects to the chest. So as I was shown earlier, without the worm, it's top notch. But with the worm, it's definitely limited. Do you think that there's any mods that can be done for the ab crunch? Absolutely. I think the waist part is already pretty well done. I don't think it needs further modification, but the chest part definitely can apply some work to it. But you will find the gap being smaller than some of the other figures. So doing modification is really about finding the balance between reaching extreme articulation and not having a lot of gaps to expose the joints. What would you rate this figure out of 10? I would easily rate this figure a 9 out of 10. Maybe it being a very popular character helped. So yeah, 9 out of 10 is pretty high rating for my standard. Best figure, I need it. I agree. Is it worth the price? I think it's a very much so yes. I love you. Love you too, bro. A lot of people, even me, think he is glossy. Can you give us your opinion about it? First of all, let's just address the elephant in the room, the glossiness of this figure, which caused a lot of concerns of people that had high hopes about this figure. And I was thinking, what should I do to kind of best showcase the issue? And then I thought I would do 3 different lighting setups. So I will do room light, a LED cube light, and a regular light with the softbox. So I'm gonna put the comparison here and just give it a second before I give my opinion. What do you guys think of it? I think the main reason is because a lot of people compared the final product with the prototype that was shown during New York Comic Con last year, which rightfully so. Ideally, the final product shouldn't be that much off from it. And the proto that was shown during MICC was very matted. It's because usually prototypes are hand painted and just naturally it will never look as glossy as plastic. If you see a comparison with Gojo and Suguru, the level of glossiness is almost the same. Just on black with the clothing pattern of Toji makes it stand out even more. Honestly, I understand the frustration. We all want our money's worth, but in my opinion, no need to feel bad about feeling either way, whether being accused of glazing Tamashii Nations or just simply hating. As long as your reasoning supports your opinion, I think all feedbacks are necessary. What I truly think about this figure. Despite the different opinions of this figure being oiled up or not, no diddy, I still think this is a really good figure overall. Of course, no figure is perfect. Even I'm a little bit annoyed at some of the details, but I think for this Toji, there are way more positive aspects that deserve recognition. Faceplate being very accurate from different angles, and there are so many details to appreciate. For example, this shoulder spike thingy. The shoulder part is very much so a huge exposure of the joints. So the spike thingy covers up a huge part of it while not limiting the articulations at all. And second, color matching. The shoulder here and the neck are actually two different materials, but the color matching is so well done that I almost didn't notice, which really means we're going into a new era of 1/12 scale action figures where not only we're still trying to improve articulations and posing, but also we're noticing the realistic aspects of a figure. And I love the amount of accessories. I kind of hope it came with the chains that he used before he turned into an Apple logo. In the end, the most anticipated anime action figure ever did live up to the hype. Hope this video is informative enough to help y'all. Like, comment, and subscribe. We have a long way to go in 2026, guys. And I will see you in the next one. If it wasn't clear, I did go to the grocery store and buy this tiny little baby oil on purpose. I didn't even get to use it. Couldn't even find the big bottles. Probably someone bought it all. Alright, see you guys.